Hi, all you wildly wonderful souls. This is our very first podcast of Your Guide to the Other Side. My name is Haley, and I will be a co host of this podcast with the spectacular psychic medium Jean Durkin. So, welcome, everybody.
Yay!
Fun.
Um,
Go
for
ahead.
those people who don't know Haley, Haley's my daughter. We're like a mother-daughter duo, and we're hoping to. Haley's going to be um, our little experiment. We're hoping with this podcast to take Haley, who obviously knows about the other side because she lives with me and has had her own experiences and what it's like growing up with a psychic medium in the house. I guess you don't get away with too much, huh, Haley?
Although I was good, it's pretty
Um,
good. No.
and we're going to take Haley through and do all the things that are suggested, or the spiritual side, do past life regressions, maybe contacting her spirit guides, all those wildly wonderful things. We'll get her some Akashic records and all those fun things that people are interested in, and she'll be our mule because I've done them all before, and we'll talk about it. We'll have her do one, and we'll bring her back and have her talk about her experience.
Because I got no idea how any of this works. This is like another language to me, so I'm gonna be our nice little test dummy, and I'm very
That's what you are, our test dummy.
our guinea pig.
Yeah, your guinea pig.
All
Yeah,
that has.
yeah. Haley's very gifted. She just refuses to acknowledge that, which I hear is normal for the children of.
I
We'll
got
see what happens.
crazy.
So, a little bit about me. I am certified. I have been a certified psychic medium for about 10 years now. I'm certified here by a local medium in my area. And then I guess about 5 years ago, was it, Haley?
Yeah.
I was in James Van Prague's graduate medium program. It's for working mediums. I did that program. I think that was about a year. Went out to California and did a weekend workshop with all the other people in my class and James and some other mediums there. Finished that and was certified there. And then I was accepted to his internship program, which is, I guess, about another 8 to 9 months working one on one with James in a much smaller group. And we met weekly, and he gave us exercises and things like that. And then we had to go when he was on the road, and we would go meet him somewhere, and we would work with him on stage doing what we call platform work. It's from the stage versus a one-on-one. And then we had to go back out to California and each one of us got up while James was in the back grading us. And so I completed that and certified that program. So now I'm just on my own trying to teach everybody what the other side wants you to know.
And you know your stuff, man.
I try.
Ask a
I
lot
try.
of questions.
I will say the one thing before we start any of this is that if you only get one thing out of this, it's that we are here to learn our life lessons, but we are here to learn them with joy. We're not here to learn them through suffering. Um, so, that's a big lesson. I haven't learned it yet. I'm still working on it.
Well,
So,
awesome.
you tell me what it's like for you.
Well, like you said, I'm very gifted.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Yes, yes, sir. Um, so I obviously grew up around this. When I was little, I was convinced that I could hear people talking in my downstairs, like kitchen downstairs, and I think I would wake my parents up every single night, and they always would be like, "Dad, go back to sleep," and I'm like, "Someone's playing a piano. I hear it. They're talking," and no one believed me. So everyone was just like, she's got an active imagination. She's a kid. And I used to sit at the top of our steps every night and listen, and I could hear people talking downstairs. And then I would go downstairs, all the lights were off, no one's there. But every night, like clockwork, I was convinced that there were people downstairs playing the piano, talking in our house, and no one believed me until my Nana slept over. And I said, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that piano?" And she said, "Ah, don't worry about them. They're here every night." And I was like, "What?" And that was kind of the first time that I really, I guess, got that interaction. She never explained what it was to me. So I just went on my merry way, hearing people every night downstairs, which I have to say did not help my fear of break ins. Like, I still to this day am terrified that someone's going to break in. And I think it's partially because I'm like, am I hearing things or is that actually happening?
Was that a
So
real sound that I heard? Because it sounds like a real sound. It sounds like somebody's calling your name,
yeah,
but there's nobody there.
you
Yeah.
hear the door slam.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if you remember this. We were in your room upstairs, and which is the farthest room from our stairs. And we heard a heavy, like, footprint downstairs, and someone, it sounded like someone, heavy man was walking up the stairs. And it got so scary. We called the police because we thought someone was in the house, and there was nobody there.
And the police explained to us that the door that we heard slam was the pantry door underneath the stairs. There's no way that door could have slammed and made a noise. I don't
Yeah, it
know,
was like
stuff.
there
But
wasn't enough. I guess because it was under the stairs, you physically cannot slam that door
yeah,
because the air rushing in.
yeah.
So there was no way, but that was what we had heard. So I had had crazy experience like this all my life. And then when my mom started going through these classes and started to teach me about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, all right. And then what was it? It might have been like 10 years ago now, maybe 8, when we had the Jumps paranormal team come investigate our house because we were having some crazy stuff happen. I remember I woke up with scratches sometimes, and I always just said, like, there's something watching me, like, I can feel it. So we had Doug and his team come out.
And we'll have them on.
Yeah. And it
That was
was,
some pretty crazy stuff.
yeah, the wildest thing. They were doing what they do on recording, and I've never had this happen before, but they would ask a question, I would hear it in my head, respond, and then 10 seconds later on the monitor pick up a sound, and when they played it back it was the same exact response.
Okay. So when you were listening to the, I think they're called EV recordings, there would be the question, then you would hear the entity say it, and then you would hear Haley say exactly what the entity just said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
scared the shit out of me,
yeah,
I'll tell you that. But
yeah.
that was, I feel like, the first real interaction for
For
me,
you, right?
like, I couldn't deny anymore that, like, it wasn't just me hearing stuff because it was recorded, and it was just wild. But I mean, now I'm
Used to
trying
it.
to, I yeah, I would say it. I still get caught off guard sometimes because for those of you that don't know, I see a lot of stuff. I don't always hear it, but like out of the corner of my eye, like I'll see someone standing there or I'll see stuff. So every once in a while when I hear something, I'm like, oh, what was
And
that?
I hear more than I see.
Yeah.
So we're a little different that way. When Haley was talking about her Nana, that's my mother. I had my first experience at 15. I was walking through the house in North Jersey and I was in the dining room and my grandmother was there just out of nowhere. Just, I, I didn't see her. I just knew it. And she said some stuff to me and I just stood there. I walked back into the kitchen. My mother was making dinner. She's peeling potatoes or something. And I said to her, Ma, I think I just ran into grandma in the dining room. And she didn't flinch. She just kept peeling. And she said, oh, did you say hi for me? She always taught it. She always just reacted like it was so normal that this happens to everybody. So I just thought it was part of being human. I had no idea until during my divorce, I started having more and more and more incidents that I couldn't ignore. So that's when my mother suggested that I get a mentor. And that's when I started taking classes locally. And that's when all hell broke loose in the house. And but I will say, we really need to figure out whenever Haley's home, there are orbs everywhere.
Yeah. And I see them too, which is freaky sometimes.
So, and then
Fly straight across. And then if you videotape it, you'll see it on there. No one else sees it. So
yeah,
I got some special eyes.
yeah, and it doesn't happen for the most part anymore when she's gone. But when she's here, there's
What can I say? I'm
yeah.
just great.
Great. We'll have to figure that out at some point, though, because you're obviously attracting them at some point. We'll get a guest on. Right. You're bright light, right? That's me. That's me too. I'm just a bright, shiny light. So one of the things that we started to do in order to work Haley through this and get her to feel that she had a little more control over what was happening, I got her a pendulum.
Interject really quick.
Sure.
For those that don't know, like I get severe anxiety, and I get a lot of this anxiety when I feel out of control. So this was one of the ways that we, I guess, decided on that would help me with some of this anxiety. Because if I don't have an answer to something, watch out.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Yeah, I wonder who you got that from.
Hurricane Haley.
Yeah, I'm an overthinker as well.
I had a tropical storm, Haley, but so
yeah,
that's how I got into the pendulums, because I would call my mom constantly and be like, can you ask your pendulum this? What does your pendulum say about this?
Yeah. And then Haley came home for Christmas this year, and we were sitting around, and I think that's what happened. Your pendulum was not giving you the answer you wanted. So yeah. You asked me if I could ask my pendulum.
It kept asking and asking and asking, and it was telling me the same thing every time. And then it got to the point where I think it was like, we're done. We're this asked this like 3,000 times. I don't know what else to tell you. And I was so smart. I would ask it like, I'm gonna test it to see if it's only saying yes because of whatever. And then I would ask it a question and it would say no. And I was like, oh, well, there goes that. And then they just stopped moving altogether because it was over me.
Yeah. So we have some of those videos. We should put them up, but we just started asking, all kinds of funny questions or crazy questions just because they were so done with us. At one point, it was spinning so fast that it flipped around my wrist. I think it almost cut you in the forehead. It was just, they were like done with us. I think the question was, are we driving you crazy? And it was starting to go, whoa, 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 whoa.
And for those of you that don't know, and we'll get into all the nitty gritty details, but this is what a pendulum is. So it's a little crystal.
I have mine here. This is my favorite one.
Mine has the chakras.
Yes.
Yeah. Chakra on it.
Yeah. And I have mine is a you can see it, but mine is a rose quartz crystal from the caverns underneath the Casa for John of God in Brazil. So this is my favorite one. And I have this one. I can't find my other one that James gave me, but I do have this one that I got from James Van Prague for completing my mediumship 3 internship. So this one works. And then I have another one that you can either use as a pendulum or you can use as a necklace. That's my favorite one. I got that from mediumship too. So, but I only use those on special occasions.
I never knew you had these other buttons.
Yeah, well,
went missing.
Yeah, because those are from James, so I have to take care of those. It's not every day you get certified by a world-renowned psychic medium. You know what I mean? I can't let my kids get their sticky peanut butter fingers on
That's true. That is very true. I like to call myself an opportunist.
them.
So I am an opportunist. So who knows with me around where that will end up? It might end up back in Boston.
This is true. This is true. As a matter of fact, I was looking at some of the Facebook posts from Memories, I think it was, and I had put in there to the kids, who has my headphones? And my son, who was in college at the time, replied, they're probably halfway to South Africa right now because Haley was on a plane to South Africa. Like,
They
yeah.
were not, everyone, just to clear the record, that was probably the only time that I didn't take them.
Oh, yeah, because you usually did. Yeah. If you look at Haley's room first, that's where things are.
I'm an opportunist. What can I say?
Yeah. So, pendulums are, when you get a pendulum, you have to kind of put your energy into it. And I always clean mine when I get them. I use warm water, and I run it under warm water for a while. I use a very soft towel and just kind of pat it down. And then I hold it and I, bring my energy into it. But with a pendulum, you're either getting energy from your guides, or maybe from a loved one in spirit, or from your higher self. Your higher self is part of your soul that doesn't come down here. So when you come down to earth, your whole soul doesn't come down here. Your smarter, all-knowing self stays up there because that's the smart one. And then we come down here to, well, I have been told that they consider us earthlings the Rhodes Scholars of the spirit world, because we were accepted to come down here to learn what we came to learn here. So when I first get a pendulum, that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Okay. So you take it and you hang it slowly like this, and you ask it to show you it's yes. So for me, I would say, can you show me your yes, please? Or can you show me my yes, please? And that's how I get a yes. Thank you very much.
So fascinating about this too is our yes and no's are complete opposites. So
Opposite.
I know
Just like we are, right?
yes, yeah.
And see, now it knows I'm going to ask it to show me no, so it's showing me my no.
Which is my yes. And then if you, like on my crystal, if I ask, like, show me Jean's yes, it'll show me my no, because that is her yes,
Right.
which is wild. Let me see. We'll see if they want to do it for me. Show me Jean's yes.
Going around a circle, right?
I got a little confused for a second. Show me Jean's no. Show me my no.
That's wild.
Show me my yes. Sit back and forth. Just so crazy. Look at yours.
I know.
It's like, we're here. Hello.
So I'll ask it. Okay. It's very
temperamental.
Yes, because they don't see things on the other side the way we see things here. So Haley and I drive it crazy. Haley thought she had a tooth infection. Turns out she had TMJ, just for anybody's information.
But it told me constantly. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you've said yes for the past 2 weeks. And like, my dentist doesn't say I have a tooth infection, but it feels like it. So yeah. Are you sure? And we are now, what, 5-6 months into this, and it is TMJ. And I still ask it if it's still TMJ. And it's it gets a little annoyed. Sometimes it'll just hang straight.
Right.
And no matter what I ask it, then it won't respond, because it's like, you know what? You're in timeout.
Yeah. And sometimes so my father is one of my guides. He's actually one of my coaches. He helps me with my medium stuff. He was a baseball coach in life, so he likes to coach me when I'm getting ready to do a reading of some sort. So, Dad, is this you on my pendulum tonight? Thank you.
Mess with us too.
Thank you. So, Dad, are you? Is it just you, or my other guides there as well? And you see it start. My other guides are here because he's going harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sometimes too, what we like to do is if you're going to ask it questions or you think the answer is going to be the same, you can stop it and say thank you very much, and then do it.
Ask him. That's what I was just going to do now. You read my mind now. What are you, psychic?
Maybe. Who knows?
So, and I also like to usually ask, is it in my highest good? They could care less about the human stuff we're going through because they know this is, we're here to learn our lessons. We're here to, it's our highest good. The biggest picture is what's important to them. So, I can ask them something and they'll tell me no. And then I'll ask it a different way and say, is this in my highest good? And they'll say yes. So,
I recently just had that I was applying for new jobs and I asked it, should I work at X, Y, and Z company? And it said no. And I asked, is it in my highest good to say yes to this job offer at the same company? And then it said yes, and it was going pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta rework how you're asking it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have to also be open open to interpretation with some of these questions that you're asking it.
Right. And then when we don't get the answer that we like, we text the other one and say, hey, can you, I did that to you the other night and you never answered me back, by the way.
I did do it and it said yes, but not this year, next year.
Okay. So, what was that to show you?
Next year to see what we asked.
What?
So stay tuned next year.
Oh yeah, to see what we asked. I don't even remember. So let me see. Oh, I know. I remembered. We asked it if the name of the podcast should be Your Guide to the Other Side. Says yes.
And so actually the way that we came up with this podcast, because we had both been feeling like something big is like we have to do something, like something big is coming, and we just felt this change coming and we couldn't figure out what it was. And for those of you that don't know, I moved to Boston about a year and a half ago, but at this particular time I was home in New Jersey just watching one of my reality TV shows at your house, and all of a sudden I just got this like voice that just was like podcast, and I was like, podcast, we should do a podcast. And then I remember I texted you from downstairs. And you yeah, and after that when we would ask about the podcast, our pendulums would go crazy. Like there was no misinterpreting
what they wanted us to do. Right.
The more we kind of like, all right, yeah, we'll do it. But like, I have to do X, Y, and Z first. The more it's like podcast.
Yeah.
But get this started.
Get it started. Get it going. And hopefully through this podcast, we'll be able to teach you how to hear your own intuition and hear your own guidance. And because everybody has that, it's nothing special. And you can figure out where in life you're going or need to be or whatever guidance that you feel you need. But the pendulum is a great way, especially if you're not sure, to get confirmation, or if you're confused, it's a very quick way to get in touch with your guide. It's a great way to start a relationship with your guides. And it's trying to see if it'll, so, okay. Dad, so look, I didn't even ask you. I didn't even ask you yet. Stop it. Look at.
I don't have to ask either. I'm just saying, I just thank them and they answer me.
Right. But so I was going to ask, do I drive you crazy with my pendulum and all the questions? You can't even go any farther. Can you see that? I'm sorry. I love you.
Do I
Yeah,
drive you
I
crazy with
drive
the
them crazy.
questions I ask you? I haven't been driving them too crazy, I guess. That's my yes.
You know what though? They're nicer to you because you probably have, your grandparents as your guides. We need to find out who your guides are.
They're nice to me because I haven't. One, I'm easy. They know what I'm gonna ask. It's gonna be, is this my TMJ? But no, for real. I sometimes I get that craziness with it. But this has also taught me to trust my own self because there was a time a couple months ago where my anxiety was so bad, and this was sort of an answer to that, where I was like, I have to ask it, I have to ask, and I would ask like 5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
10 times a day. And then it got to the point where it said like no, or it would start giving me the opposite answer. And then I'd be like,
Right.
what? Like, see, look, told you it changed when it really didn't. They were just sick of my shit. But
You can't rely on it. It's a great way to start to open up to a relationship with your guides. It's a great way to get something quick. Sometimes in the energy, which has been just horrendous the past year, not going to get any better this year. Sorry. Um, it it's a great way to get quick reassurance. But when you start using it too much or you start depending on it too much, they'll back off and they,
yeah, which
yeah.
really helped me learn how to trust, like if I make a decision, instead of running to the pendulum and being like, I have to ask the pendulum 10 times, I'll be like, maybe I'll ask it once and then say, okay, this is what I decided.
Right.
And I feel like, because I had a reading, I don't know, maybe 10 months ago now, and it was telling me I need to start acknowledging the gifts and my guides. And they said, like, it's not enough just to say, like, oh, I see 1111. Thank you. Like,
Mhm.
because at that point, that's what I was doing. So this for me was a really great way to start doing that because, like, as we've talked about, some of this stuff is so overwhelming. And I feel like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I feel like when it comes to the spiritual world, there's so much that, like, I don't know. And the majority of people don't know. So I'm like, there I should be doing this, but not that, and this and that, and just all this stuff that you feel like, oh, am I doing it right? This helps start bridging that gap to kind of having that awokenness, awakenness, being awake.
Yeah. And for somebody like me who sits with their guides all the time, look, I'm not the greatest at this. There are people who live in the now and are feeling it in every moment. That's not me. I live in this world. I've got 3 kids. I'm raising kids. I'm getting ready to have my
About
first
to raise
grandchild.
grandkids.
What?
About to raise grandkids.
Yeah. I can't believe that. I was 25 minutes ago. Um,
Me too. Almost
so
30.
I do sit with my guides and I do sit in meditation and I do other things. But a lot of times I just need something quick. Hey, what should I do about this right now? Or maybe I forget a lot of stuff because it's going crazy. And I'll just quickly ask that. I'll get an answer. And then, um, you know, and sometimes I'll just ask it just for reassurance purposes. I do
Yeah.
ask it too much. I gotta stop. I won't.
Yeah. It's just,
No,
but I
I
think
like
it's
my
funny
pendulum.
that now I've become so comfortable and adjust, like I use it all the time. And earlier tonight, I was talking about this podcast, and Matt, for those who don't know, my boyfriend, he is a non believer. He is a skeptic. Like, he does not believe in any of this. And he was kind of looking at me like, all right, sure. Yeah, have your little crystal thing, okay. And I was like, "No, really, try it." So I gave it to him to try, and I told him what to do. Nothing. And I was like, "Your energy's bad.
Yeah.
Your energy's blocked." And he was like, "Okay, sure, that's why it's not moving." And I was like, "No, your energy's blocked." And I felt like Nana was there and was like, "Mm-mm, not doing this one. Not yet."
Yeah. Well, his energy is definitely blocked. He comes from a whole different way of doing things. Um,
See right now if his energy's blocked. And they said yes.
yeah.
But anyway, we won't
Yeah.
blow up his spot anymore. But I
Yeah.
thought it was
So
funny.
let me ask you a question. What is it like? And I know this is a little off topic, but what is it like to date somebody and then have to say, yeah, my mom talks to dead people?
I don't put it like that. Um, honestly, it's just to me, it's just another thing. Like it's just a
It's just a thing.
normal thing. I feel like definitely when this first started, I was more um cautious about telling people, I guess, or
Well,
wary.
I was too.
Yeah, just because like I know some people have such strong opinions in it, but the more I guess comfortable we both have gotten into it, now it's just like if
Yeah.
someone's like, "Oh, my
It's
mom's
who
a
we are.
lawyer," I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
my mom's a medium." Like
Yeah.
it's just
Who we are. If that makes you uncomfortable, that might be a problem,
well, maybe if it makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you'll go and look it up some more to
Yeah.
learn more about it, and then but I mean, for me, it's just another thing, and I feel like I would be doing not only myself and you a disservice, but them a disservice if I just tried to hide it.
Right.
And I also know that that never works. The universe will make you realize stuff, and I'm trying to avoid a big up because I know that if you ignore it, that's what they'll do.
Yes.
Um, but yeah,
Yes.
I just talk
Hit you in
about
the
it.
back of the knees with a 2x4. Other people call it a tower moment.
I
Yeah, the
had
universe.
those already. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need more.
Yeah. We need to learn to listen now. I'm a bit hard headed. The universe has hit me in the
Oh,
back of the head a couple of.
don't say.
I, I'm just, I like to do things my way.
Me
And
too.
sometimes the universe says, yeah, well, we've been telling you and telling you and telling you, you're not listening. So, bam,
Mhm.
now you'll do it our way. But
Yeah.
they'll bring you to your knees if you're not following the right path. And I think the pendulums can help a lot
Mhm.
in, especially if you're at that point where you don't know what to do or you don't know how to move or, whatever. And sometimes they're just fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can just really have some fun with our loved ones from the other side. My father he's a piece of work. And
Mhm. He
sometimes
messes
he just,
with mine too.
what?
He messes with mine too.
Yeah. Yeah. My father loves to have fun, and when he can play with us and drive us nuts, and that's kind of his thing.
And I feel like it's also too like a way to still feel connected to some of those
Yeah.
family members that have passed because I mean my pop passed away before I was born, but this still makes me feel like I'm connected to him and like even though I knew we were over there together and I've known him from before, in this life I didn't.
Right.
So it helps kind of men not mend those relationships, but
It helps
re-
build a relationship.
yeah, remind you that they're not really gone.
Right.
They're just gone from here.
Right. Yeah. And you can still have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Part of
So
what we'll hopefully do in this podcast is teach you how to have a relationship with your loved ones from the other side. But this is a great way to do that too. It's a great way to start it. And
yeah.
sometimes I like to have confirmation. For us, it's a little difficult because I will always question if I get
Or
what?
telling me the right answer. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
If I'm trying to talk to my father, I'm trying to talk to my mother, I'm always questioning, was that me interpreting that because that's the way I think they would answer it? Or that's,
yeah.
why it's good to get a reading from somebody else who doesn't know them. So this is another way to kind of have a little bit of um, a conversation with them that I don't have to question
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. So for those listening that are interested in getting a pendulum, where would you like recommend that they could find stuff like this?
Usually, your local crystal bookstores kind of places usually have them. Your psychic fairs usually have vendors that are there. Um, I think Hay House has them.
Mhm.
I think that hayhouse.com, HAY house.com. Um, but mostly I think your local shops probably would have the better ones around.
Yeah, I think we got mine from, correct me if I'm wrong, the local shop in the Morristown Mall.
East meets West.
Yeah.
I in the local mall, yeah. I ordered mine from a woman in California, but they're out of these now. But there are shows, these psychic shows and health, holistic health fairs and things like that. They usually have those kind of vendors, and that's where you'll find the more unique pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, another thing I know we wanted to talk about was we talked about it a little bit where these could be your loved ones, but they could also be your spirit guides on the other end of this answering. And that's something that we're super excited to dive into in the second episode. So we'll go into who they trying to find out who they are and how you talk to them because that's something that I'm definitely interested in. I haven't done that yet, even though I should, and they told me I should in my last reading. But
Just saying, your mama's been saying that for a while, girlfriend. You don't listen to me.
yeah, but I'm like more stubborn than you.
Yeah.
So it takes me a while. I will not do something unless it's on my terms, which is the very much Gemini
Yeah.
personality in me.
Yeah.
And then once I do it, I'll be like, oh, why did I do this sooner? And everyone around me is like, what? We told you. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean,
I
you
didn't know.
you're like, how was I supposed to know this is exactly what I was looking for? And you told me it was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Until I start yelling at you. Yeah. So we'll go through and talk about your spirit guides. Everybody has them. And we'll do a little exercise so you can learn how to contact your spirit guides. We'll do a little meditation. And so get some paper and pen with you next episode and write down maybe any messages that you get. But yeah, that should be fun because if you can contact your spirit guides and you can get your guidance
Mhm.
from them, you really can go through life with joy and peace. That's the key.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people need that nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to bring some love and light and joy and peace into this world because we all make a difference by our thoughts, by our words, by our energy. So if you're out there spreading happy thoughts, it matters. It
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening to our first podcast. As always, this podcast will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you have a moment, take the time to hit subscribe, hit like, or share. That definitely goes a long way. And we are excited to see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.